so quiet.
Everybody's waiting for 5:30.
They're
5:29, close.
on the edge of their seats.
You would please rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance with me.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I made the pledge outside, so that was the very last part. You guys, this is my summer intern, so I thought I should bring her out and show her what it really looks like to do the practice along.
Welcome.
Yeah.
What's your name, did you say?
Micah.
Micah, hi.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, you guys.
Hi.
Under additions and deletions, we need somebody to make a motion to hold an executive session for legal matters.
So moved.
Moved, is it second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed by nay. Motion carries. We have that at the end of the meeting. Adjourn? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the council meetings of June 22nd, 2026?
I move that we approve of the council meetings of June 22nd as presented.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. Motion carries. Moving on to reports. Councilwoman Calling.
I went to the Joint Powers Board meeting on July 8th. Some important points are the Public Health Department reported that as of August 1st, the Public Health Department here in Glen Rock will be moving to the Oregon Trail Medical Building. So they'll be there. The Tourism Promotion Board has a new director whose name is Elizabeth Kuntz, and she was introduced at that time. The EWC grant for the buildings at EWC are on target, and they're hoping to be done around Christmas time. August 9th, the federal congressional tour will be here in Wyoming and be in Glen Rock and Douglas the morning of that day, if everything stays as it's planned now. Also went to the Elevate Business After Hours, then had an interesting training session put on by Wyoming Workforce, and Mike won a gift certificate for ice cream, so he's in hog heaven. The American Legion Auxiliary hosted the Declaration of Independence reading at Town Square on the 8th that we began reading it at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Thank you to Margaret and Candace Benedetta for leading the Pledge of Allegiance. Wendy Prather led the national anthem, and I wanted to say a special thank you to the Town Square staff for everything that they did to help us get it together and moving. There were about 85 people that showed up. Now, 35 of those were kids from the Boys and Girls Club that came and sat, but it was fun to see them there. They did the Pledge of Allegiance, they sang the national anthem and everything, so it was nice to see, and everybody had a pretty good time for standing out there in the heat. So, and I think that's it.
Okay. Councilwoman Nunn.
Yes, sir. The National Civics Bee, Glen Rock was represented at the state level of the National Civics Bee by 3 people, Rowan Hibbs, Savannah Felton, and Ira Haskell. Rowan placed 4th, but only the first place winner can advance to the national contest. This competition is open to students grade 5 to 7, so the 2 of our local contestants going into grade 9 will not be qualified to compete again, but Savannah Felton is yet eligible to compete. Congratulations to all 3 of these young people, and thanks to their parents and their teachers for their support. Deer Creek Days was filled with a great variety of fun and interesting activity. Thanks to all the people who made this an exciting time. The Deer Creek Day Parade was very patriotic and very beautiful, and was probably the largest parade for Deer Creek Days that ever passed through our town. So special to recognize and honor Bonita Hunt, who started this tradition parade 50 years ago. Cotton candy, candy bags, and bottled water were all floating along Main Street in an ocean of candy. The best part of the parade was seeing young families and their children enjoying collecting candy. These people are the future of our town. A special thanks to Bill and John for getting and putting on display those red, white, and blue flags at the entrance to the water park. They should store happily and be ready for the 4th of July for many years. Congratulations to all the people who parked a vehicle on the evening of the Great White, did I get that right, concert. Possibly a record number of vehicles parked in Glen Rock at the same time. Plans are brewing for the Lincoln Building and the Dinosaur Museum. Some interesting options are being discussed, so now we wait and see just what options will be suggested. 4th of July, just about Bruce. 4th of July was hot. Summer finally arrived in Wyoming, but always comes with a touch of excitement in many different styles, especially since this was the 250th anniversary of our town. Again, we had many dedicated people working to make this successful. So special that so many people are dedicated to making Glen Rock a special town. The reading of the Constitution was done with class and respect by that group of ladies from the auxiliary. More of those very special people again. And the damn word of the day. Yes, work on Laparelle Dam is going on. A big mountain of special granite and at least a few excellent paying jobs for some people in Glen Rock. Done.
Thanks, Margaret.
Councilman Kincaid.
I was participated in the parade with the American Legion and the veterans on their float. It was a lot of fun. Seeing all the guys again. Attended the planning and zoning meeting last week. Got back on the committee. We had some new officers and things happen that night, and then we just went over some old business with the subdivision with the Miller and Richards. And tabled some stuff for new business. Till next time. Lyle might have more for you. So that's all I have.
I got nothing after all of that.
Okay.
Just ditto.
Tammy, clerk.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I've been working on some fiscal end of the year stuff, like Black Mountain. We update benefit prices and some stuff like that. I've got no employees. I'm still working on getting them signed up for, I've been working on getting them signed up for all their benefits, terming a few employees out who have left, and Jared and I have been working on researching. We need to get our website, we need to have our website redone so that it meets all the compliance requirements. So we've been meeting with some different places on pricing and what they can offer to us, and that's about it.
Okay. Kelly, treasurer.
Evening, Mayor and Council. I don't have a whole lot. Worked on our census report, working on our continual reports that go with all the projects that are going on, and bills and claims, which are sizable this time.
John, Public Works.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. First off, I have submitted our 2025 Consumer Confidence Report to the EPA, and there's copies available at Town Hall, and it's also on the website, unless we haven't got it quite up yet. Okay, that's a requirement that we have to do every year. The storage building, progress on that looks pretty much done, but inside they're still doing some touch-up on some of the heating, venting, and there's still some other work on like the fencing and such in there. They still have some work outside the building to do on the back side where we're going to put crushed asphalt, and then the back fence, the back of the lot. The restrooms, the bricklayers are back getting on that pretty good. I know they had some trouble with some of the corner blocks that they didn't have ordered for the exterior block, so they were waiting on that. The monument, they've poured some concrete. I know they poured a wall, they poured some footers. I didn't get over there today to see what progress they got on since last week. The fire hall is the same situation. I'll know more tomorrow. We'll have a contractors meeting where we can find out what the situation is on the block for the fire hall that was left. That was wrong again, and we'll see if it's here or if it's still being made. The 4th Street construction, everybody's going to hate me before it's done. But they're working this week. They're supposed to get 1st Street. By Wednesday, they should have 1st Street, I was told, paved. It'll still have a little chunk down on the bottom that they'll have to tie in, and probably a little bit in the intersection of 6th. After that, they're supposed to go to Grove Street and start getting that done so they can get it paved. I know they're still working a little bit on the Valley Pan off 5th Street intersection on Grove. I also had, we had talked about a year ago to Engineer Design Associates about trying to get some, a design for to redo the heating system in this building. We had him come down last week, and he went through and got some more final details on that. He's trying to build a plan and get us a price on what it's going to cost to do that. That's about all I got.
Questions for John?
Is Grove the last street that needs paved?
The last street that they
Going
still
west.
have to do.
West,
Then Forest, then
Yeah,
Forest,
west.
and we got two.
They still have 5th to do.
the two little ones, but
Yeah, a little bit on Fifth
but
Street
major
also.
going up the hill, it's Fir and then Grove, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going up the hill.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then they start tearing up 4th Street.
Yeah, that'll make some people happier.
Well, until they get to the bottom of the
At the
hill.
bottom of the hill.
Yep.
It'd be a mess.
Okay.
Has to be done.
Lyle, building inspector.
Evening, Mayor and Council. We did have a compliance issue last week on the 2nd of July. Had an apartment building with a secondary exit. The stairways were pretty bad, so I condemned it. Gave them till today to put up a new set of steps. They got it done on Friday, so that was good. That was pretty bad. And then for the planning side of things, next Monday is our planning session, is that right?
Work session?
Yeah,
Work session.
Sorry, work session. So hopefully we can hash out maybe a counter offer to go back with the land at the hospital. So that'll be good to see if that ball gets rolling. So
Okay.
that's about all I got.
Chevy.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Since we last met, there was a lot of events. They're all being very well attended. We've had our first Dino Day at the Square, and that was really fun. A lot of kids had a great time with that. We had the 4th of July concert, Drew. That was pretty well attended for 4th of July. Keep on having more events. We have Lakeview this Friday. And then I have everything set for the August 22nd date for Ashley Wineland being Town Appreciation Day. Lions Club is going to come cook for that. I don't have the exact times yet. And also, we will have Marilee the Clown doing face painting there as well. And I'll have the times later posted for that. And then I am working on the UW football game, working with Uniwire with that. They've chosen some dates in September, so I am just emailing and reaching out to the University of Wyoming Athletic Department and Mountain West and all of the places I need to get their blessing before we can pick that specific date.
Any questions for Chevy?
What date is Town Appreciation again?
August 22nd, it's a Saturday.
Okay, thank you.
Coulter's occupied the ceiling, and we won't ask the attorney for anything. Yet. We'll move on to new business. First order of new business this evening is John McCoy with Warm and Game and Fish. I think the podium's hot.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Yeah, so myself, Cody Bish, Willow Bish, we met with some of you all, gosh, it's been a couple winters ago now, and we were speaking with you all about potential things we could do in Town Park to help make it a little bit better for wildlife. The fisheries, Willow had brought up some of the Russian olive trees down there. And while we were talking, more in-depth creek stream restoration came up, and a question was made, you know, what could you do? And really there's a lot of hypotheticals, but really the first step there is to assess, you know, where the deficiencies are and what's wrong. So we set out to do that. It took a little longer than we would have liked to, but we did get to it last summer. And yeah, I'll be presenting on some of that information that we turned up. So Deer Creek through Town Park, you guys are all very familiar with it. You could run back to that previous slide. I was about there. But yeah, it's a pretty big watershed. You guys know it comes through the Laramie Range. It starts up and loops back through the canyon. It's pretty unique. Through Town Park, it's got pretty robust riparian vegetation communities. It's had a lot of years to stabilize and a lot of big mature trees. You know, through talking with Cody and some of the fish guys who have talked to anglers down there, there's some kids and folks seasonally who will go down there and fish in the fall when the browns are swimming up, and it's a pretty decent little area, but it has a lot of deficiencies too, as kind of we alluded to. So yeah, I kind of covered that a little bit, so we can bump to the next slide. So what we did, we conducted what's called a Wyoming Stream Quantification Tool Assessment, and it's essentially a way that you can measure a bunch of characteristics of a stream, and it gives you a score. If you run a full one, it's a score out of 100. If you do a partial test, it's out of 60. We did a partial just because the nature of this creek, it's kind of intermittent. The parts we left out were more on the fisheries, as a lot of the fish will swim out to the Platte when it gets hot, and we just felt it wouldn't be super accurate as it's, you know, fall and winter can see pretty good spring too. But so we looked at base flow habitat, the creek's width, depth, how it interacts with the floodplain, wood and erosion. That's always a big one. How deep the pools were, riffles, veg. Yeah, so a bunch of different things. You can go to the next slide. So once we ran everything, it spit out this, which it's a big, dense, complicated slide. And as you can see, it got a 28 out of 60, so about 50%, 47%. Not super great, but you got to keep in mind too, this is meant to be used on the purest, pristinest streams in, you know, the Absarokas or outside of Yeltsin, or, you know, here in Glen Rock, up in the Black Hills, anywhere. So it takes a lot of things into account. So on the index value you see, and in the parameter columns, there are different colors. The green, that shows something that's healthy and it's doing really well. Yellow means it's could be improved, not the worst, and then red means it's not really functioning at all. So I'll run through these real quick and then just give you guys a quick summary of what all means at the end. But just for sake here, I'll go through the land use coefficient. The first one, we're in an urban area, a lot of roads, yards, hard surfaces. That's basically saying that when it rains, water hits hard surfaces and runoff, right? So that's why we have storm drain, sewage. It's all going to be managed. So it's less than ideal, but you're going to see that in urban areas. Even the best of streams in urban areas are going to have that score. So that wasn't a huge negative part. The next one was concentrated flow points. That's like storm sewer, storm drains coming into the creek. That can cause a lot of localized erosion when you have it, just because you get all that velocity coming out, and you can get all the oils and stuff from the streets entering the creek. It's not healthy, and this reach didn't have any of that, so that's a great thing there. So that means that when the water does come into the creek, it's filtered through the grass and the trees. So that was great. The base flow dynamics, as you guys know, in the summer it gets very dry and low there. You get irrigation coming off, and then once irrigation's shut off, like the water's kind of done coming off the mountain, so it gets low. I wouldn't pay too much attention to that either. It's just kind of the nature of the streams here on the Laramie Range. But where we start getting into some of the things that could improve on are the width depth ratio. So this is essentially how wide the stream is to how deep it is. And if you can imagine, if you're a fish, you would like something that's got more depth to it. And in that case, when you're working with square footage, that means you would have to narrow it to make it deeper, right? So streams that are wide and shallow tend to get really warm. There's not many places for the fish to go. So it's not a great thing. It also has trouble taking sediment out. So when all that water is in it's spread out. It doesn't have the force to carry out sediments that come off from upstream. So it'll cause a lot of fines and pools to get filled in, that sort of thing. The next one is called bank height ratio. That is basically, does it have a floodplain to interact with? And it does. It's been in that place for a very, very long time. It's moved vertically over the years, but it's had a lot of years to stabilize, and it's developed little features. So that got a pretty decent score. Entrenchment ratio, that's how well it can spread out onto the floodplain, so it dissipates that energy. And as you guys know, it's kind of a bit of a trench down there. It's a deep channel, and for good reason, right? It kind of helps contain some of that flood water so it doesn't go out, but it got a little bit of a ding there. Had a lot of wood in the channel. Wood is very healthy for aquatic bugs, for trout, places for life to hide, so that's a really good score it got there. Had a fair amount of erosion, not as bad as it could have been. Like I said, it stabilized pretty well over the years, but it is eroding in some areas. And then had a little bit of armoring. That's where you throw riprap along a bank. It can be okay for wildlife, but sometimes it causes a localized increase in erosion because that water it doesn't get broken up, it just increases its speed as it travels along a flat surface and can actually cause more erosion downstream. So that wasn't terrific. Well, actually, that was pretty good. The next one, though, the fines, that kind of ties into the overriding stream. A lot of really fine material, something we kind of expected to see, but there it was. The next bit of things we looked at were pools, riffles, and runs. The pools were good for, they were functioning, but I think we see a little bit deeper pools in Deer Creek, and I'll come back to that later. Percent riffle, it was pretty decent there, good riffles. Like I said, this thing's had time to stabilize over the years, so it's done pretty well. Riparian vegetation, the extent, once again, it's kind of trapped inside that cut, so it couldn't get out. And then the last few ones, you guys could all see this, it's got great trees down there, it's got good grass, it's a healthy little area, so it did well. The native cover, that's where the Russian olives came in. There's a lot of naturalized invasives too that are just kind of here, so I don't pay too close attention to that one either. But yeah, if we go to the next slide here. So overall, like I said, it's an urban creek. It gets runoff from hard surfaces. That's just kind of what it is. Not a huge deal. It sees low flows in the summer, which makes it difficult for fish in years like this. Right now, it's probably very hot down there, and if those fish didn't make it up to the Platte, they're going to be hurting.
That's not good.
The ripples are a little bit wide and shallow, but there were developed bankful benches. There wasn't much of a floodplain, but there was one there, so it's had time to stabilize, and that's a good thing. There's plenty of large wood, and there's a little bit of bank erosion. And yeah, we pretty much covered everything else. Yeah, we went through this, so we can go to the next. So, these are all things that we see in straight reaches of stream. And Artie was able to provide me some really old maps that kind of showed that this reach has always been relatively straight, which is great information to know, right? This was back when it was the U.S. Hay Reserve there, and you can see it's really interesting. There used to be what's known as the Catfish Channel now, but The stream used to go into the Platte about a half mile downstream from where it does today. So super interesting bit there. We think that has had something to do with how it's cut down into the channel, and it's probably straightened a little bit more than what it would have historically. So, yeah, in general, streams of the water floodplain have an ability to facilitate high flows a little bit better than streams that are kind of curtailed. So that's something we noticed. Potentially widening the stream, not necessarily the actual stream, but the flood zone in which that trench sits, if that makes sense. So the stream, we'd like to be a little bit narrower, but the foot in which the stream sits, if we could widen that out, that could help facilitate more floodwaters and get a little bit more meander in the stream channel. Yeah, so as we mentioned, the narrow to deepen channel can help move some of the fines out to help clean gravels. That's great for trout spawning, so when the browns come up, they can use the gravels to reproduce. It just makes for more aquatic wildlife. So seasonally, when those fish do come back up in, it can be really helpful for them. There was some areas that could be stabilized on the eroding banks that can help cut down on fine sediments. And then, Russian olive removal, that's always a good thing. Those things really drink up a lot of water. I'm partial to them. I like the smell of them in Wyoming, but they have a bit of a negative impact on some of the cottonwoods and the other trees. So, people go back and forth with it, but in general, they're not the best. But you can go to the next slide. So after we looked at this, we went upstream to see, what can Deer Creek do? Because one of the big things I kind of highlighted was the pools were not deep enough in this section to really support good fishing. If you guys have gone down there and dinked around, there's a couple spots where there is a deep pool or two, and those always seem to hold a lot of the fish. So my thought is man, if we could get more deep pools, that's going to really help. That's going to be your biggest boost in what the stream has. So we went upstream to a couple of different areas not too far from town, and shown that it can maintain some deep pools. Both of these were 7 foot plus. I went out there and I was up to my neck, and it's at base flow, right? So they can support some deep pools. Deer Creek gets some good flows to it, and when it gets that high velocity in those meanders, it can really cut out some deep pools, and it does well. So it showed us that it's possible on this system. You can, in fact, maintain deep pools for trout and other aquatic life. And as I mentioned, these regions were far from perfect, but the fact that they could sustain those pools is a very good thing. So you can go to the next. So just overarching objectives that I think are reasonable. I see a lot of potential for a really good seasonal fishery, kind of in the same way it is now, except it could potentially hold a few more fish, and maybe even into some of the months when the fishing gets rough, you might see an increase there. I don't think it's ever going to be a great midsummer place to go, just with how low it gets, but spring and fall could really be terrific, just in those deeper pools. It's really going to be those good areas that you guys might observe where there is deep pool. It's going to be increasing that habitat. Fish swimming up from the Platte, so that's always a great resource right there. Right? So it doesn't have to be fish that live there year round. We could for sure facilitate them getting in a little bit better. And it could become, I know Town Park it's a great resource for the town of Glen Rock. I know it's beloved by everyone. I'm going down there. People are super interested in what I'm doing, and I think this could be something that could really improve it and make it a real hub of the community. Walking paths would be an option. I know they do the interpretive signs with the children's stories. That stuff could just be expanded upon. I think it could be a neat thing for the community. So if you go to the next slide. So there's some challenges. It's in Town Park. The road runs right next to it. There's ball fields. There's give and take always, right? So especially in an urban environment. So it's got restricted area for that meander. There's a lot of private landowners we would have to work with. That's always an added layer of complexity. I know you guys remediated one, but there's a few more in there. Those old pipes that run underneath the channel maybe weren't always exposed. At one time, they were probably further under, but as the creeks cut down, they've exposed. So that's something to work through. Funding is always a big one. We do a fair amount of projects, though. We're pretty savvy at finding sources for money, both state. We don't like to go federal, but we will. But yeah, there's a lot of local options that are really terrific for funding this sort of thing. And then permitting, of course, you guys are all probably familiar with that with any kind of development. It can be some of the most frustrating parts, but like I said, I think there are things that we can overcome, and Game and Fish would be happy to be a direct partner with the city of Glen Rock if this were something they would want to pursue. If you go to the next slide. Yeah, I guess that's all I got here. So, yeah, questions? Go ahead.
You spoke of pipes running under the channel. What used to be carried in those pipes, do you know?
I can tell you the one that was exposed was our old water main. All of a sudden it came out of the ground because it really washed in there. The last flood we had, that main is no longer operable. We went back and backed up clear on the Hunterdale property and crossed into the park. We drilled it. We bored it in way deep under the creek. Now if it washes down to there, we got a real problem. But that was the old water main that came up, all of a sudden was exposed.
To our knowledge, there's never been any oil or anything like that transported in any of these pipes.
I don't know of any oil transmission lines across there that I've ever seen or come up with, but the one that exposed it got us interested in this was because of our water main that became exposed, and then talking to landowners like Stan and everybody and Jim and Sharon over on the other side of, if we can do something to improve the look of that down there and work with the landowners and stuff.
Yeah.
It would be a great addition. Unfortunately, we get to deal with the Wyoming DOT. We're probably starting next summer, spending the next 2 years of splitting our highway bridge and doing half of it at a time. So that's a real long, interesting mess for what's going to
Fourth Street will be done by then.
What?
Fourth Street will be done by then.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, we've got a lot of stuff going on. But when we talked about this a few years ago, at that time I thought it would be a great addition to what comes through our park there, and if we could improve like you said, above there is probably better water. Right now, it's the stream. I was down there and looked at it the last couple of days, and it's grown in so bad that, of course, this year there is hardly any water flows.
Right.
So we've got a real problem in there with what's encroached into the creek bed.
Yeah, I believe it.
I'm off the banks into the creek. So.
Do you have any current plans to develop any more deep pools along the creek?
I think so. I think that would be the biggest place we could gain fish habitat is in that, and that's where. And I realized, you read your presentation out loud to who you're speaking to, and you're like, I could have elaborated on that a bit more. But when you widen out the flood plain, and when I say flood plain, not necessarily in a Artie's realm, but in the first place the creek washes out onto like the first flat surface where there's vegetation, right? When you widen that out, you're going to create more space for the creek to wind back and forth. And a good way it was explained to me is when you have meanders, it's real similar to, like, say you're skiing down a mountain. When you're going straight, your skis don't cut into the snow real deep. But when you start cutting back and forth and you hit your corners, your skis cut into the hillside, into the snow, and that helps slow you down. And it does the same thing in creeks. When water hits a corner, it slows the water down, it reduces its velocity, and then as it comes back around, it picks up speed, and then when it hits corners, it cuts down and slows down its velocity. Well, those cuts are pools. So when you add a little meander into a stream, it can really maintain some deeper habitat. So I think that's a huge part of what we would want to do.
So if you're going to do that, will that involve a lot of negotiation with landowners?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, we would almost have to have everyone fully on board. I believe the city owns both sides, but
No, we own the east side of it.
East side, okay.
If you've got any on the west, Stan Taylor's sitting there behind you. He's a big property owner over there. And on the west side also is Jim and Sharon Davies, they own a big piece of that
Sure.
on the west side, so there would be
Yeah.
a lot of people involved in seeing what we could do about moving forward with this.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
So where do you think we're at for the next step?
Next step. So, I think a good way we could move forward without having to find a bunch of money right away would be coming up with some sort of conceptual, something to show to the neighbors, show the other landowners. We work with a number of engineering firms that are pretty good at coming up with cost estimates, and I think Game and Fish would be pretty well suited to come up with a good conceptual design. I could solicit some of those guys and see, like, hey, what do you think this would cost to take to 100% if you guys were to take it over? And they usually can get us pretty close. And then I think it would be, be starting to come up with the funding plan. Seeing, the WWNRTs of the world, the Equip, I think there's, on Davies, I think they're pulling water from the creek there onto their irrigated hay. So that's helpful with Equip, as you guys know. So, yeah, it would be coming up with a funding plan after that, and then I can just overview quickly here how the process, if we have time.
Sure.
Yeah, usually you get your funding together next, right after that, and then hiring out an engineering firm. There's a number of companies that do like stream restoration specific, so they do this all over the state, all over the West. And have them come up, basically take your ideas and put them on paper, so that a guy in a backhoe can bring it to life, right? So, so within that time, you get permitting involved. Usually, it's 60% design. You get the permitters involved, so Army Corps of Engineers, Wyoming Department of Environmental Quality. We start talking with the floodplain folks, and we make sure everything's good. So there's some pretty. They're not easy, but they're pathways in river restoration that you can get permits. Nationwide 27 through WDEQ is a pretty standard one to get. Takes a couple months to get, but they're doable. Once you get your permitting, you start funding for construction. So you find ideally a construction firm that's got a little bit of experience in river work, and when it's all said and done with a project to this extent, it could be a 2, 3, maybe if it's phased out in a couple different reaches, maybe 4 years from like now to finish. But yeah, and then there's time for stuff to veg back in. Anytime you're in the river with equipment, grass has got to grow back.
Yes.
But if you got good operators, they know how to avoid trees. If your engineer's on the right page with you, keeping as much as there as possible, because those are hard to replace. None of us here will realize those. So, yeah.
So we don't lose them.
Yeah, so, I think if we started moving today, 3 or 4 years, we could see something really happen. That's being conservative. Things can move quicker, but there's always speed bumps with pipes running under the river. We don't know much about those right now, and that'd be something we would have to figure out as well. Yeah.
So with the engineering to get conceptual, is that something Game and Fish pays for, or is that something the town pays for?
I think that's something Game and Fish can provide. We've got enough expertise in-house that I think we could get something pretty accurate that an engineering firm could take and run with. Yeah, I think that would be very doable. And something, like I said, we'd be more than happy to do. Luckily we started talking about this a couple of years ago, so I've had it kind of bookmark on my work schedule to do if it's something, the council and the city wants to go forward with, so.
I think it's a great idea.
I think it's a good idea, but at the same time, I don't want to force any landowners into doing something they don't want to do.
For sure.
We definitely want to have a good relationship and get as much information from them that we can get. Sure.
Yeah, and maybe even before we start the conceptuals, meeting with some of them and getting their input and incorporating that in so they're part of the process from the start. I understand, we are working with them on other projects. I'd be more than happy to loop all them in, and yeah, I think it'd be great.
Yeah. The Davieses are here this evening, also Sharon and Jim.
Oh.
Or we're sitting right back
Oh,
there.
okay, yeah.
So, yeah.
So, to get meandering, I'm a expecting that it would be in placement of rocks to divert rather than digging holes,
Yeah, so you can use rocks,
large rock.
large trees, large rocks. We'll use super big long cottonwoods and put them way back up into the bank. Stryker's been doing a lot of it for us. He does terrific. But we like to use natural material. We really want it to look as if, it's a pretty natural system. But yeah, rocks, trees, and strategically placed too, right, to help kind of push the water and encourage it. And we'll use like what streams naturally set themselves up. We'll observe things in like a natural stream that's done what we want it to do, and we'll try and copy that a lot of times.
For example, the hole where we have our suction, it'll be deep, and the flood waters come, just fills it in.
Fills it right in.
And then there's other holes like we're discussing by where the sewer line goes underneath. It's a big pipe.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a big hole there.
And that one stays there pretty well, doesn't it? It's yeah. I think, what I've noticed is that's a spot where the river has just a little bit of a kink to it, and that it's enough for the river to scour it out and maintain it from year to year. And it would take some real, thoughtful designs on how to work with it, because it does want to straighten itself. But also when we spread out that floodplain a little bit, it dissipates that energy just a little more. So it's taking some of the rates, and that's why once we get to the steps further along, having engineers working on it and folks who can put the numbers to what we theorize could work.
Just out of curiosity, what might be sources of your funding for this type of project?
Yeah, so I'll start with Game and Fish. We've got an internal, it's called the Game and Fish Trust Fund. It's something that the habitat biologists like myself can pull from every year. They're really great about getting projects off the ground. We've got the Wyoming Governor's Big Game License Coalition. That's another one that's been a great partner in a lot of our work that we'll do. Bod Bud and the WWNRT, they're always a terrific one to go through. And they can get some larger funding for projects that they'll take before legislature, and they can be a huge partner in some of these. And I think this would be a great candidate for any one of those. And then if moving to like larger scale, there's NRCS has EQIP, which is to help ag producers in conservation issues like erosion, water, pivots, all that. So this would fall into that for getting water, helping you guys with your hay operation and that sort of thing. The Converse County Conservation District has been a great partner on other projects we've done as well. They would be people we would look to get some assistance. So there's a decent number of spots to start. I think we could put something together, and a lot of times when the nature of these, they're spread out over many years, so you get some of the funding for design, and then as it's moving forward, then you come back a couple years later and say, hey, we've done this, now we're ready to build. So,
Do you have any idea at all how expensive this type of project would be?
It all depends on the scope and how much stream we do. So the city of Casper has some examples on the Platte, but the Platte's huge, right? So it's not really apples to apples. I think we could probably get a good 100% design. I would hope we could do it for $200,000. I would hope.
It's not bad.
I would hope so, but it's the cost of doing business these days. Every time we go back, it's like, really?
I was looking at the 2 million or better.
Yeah.
I said 2 million too.
Yeah. Now, when we get to construction, yes. And I'm way more versed on the design side. The construction, things are moving so quick. I can't give you guys a good faith estimate right now, but.
Okay, I think it's a great idea.
That's good.
I do too.
I'd like to at least move forward and the first phase of this and
Yeah.
get information together and talk to the adjacent landowners and stuff and see where we can go.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
For sure.
It was, seemed to be fairly favorable back when we talked about this a few years ago. I'd like to see it move forward.
Okay.
Okay?
Terrific. Well, I appreciate it.
Good, John.
Yeah, Mayor, Council.
Next thing
Thank you.
we're going to do. Thank you. Have a meeting or?
Probably, they'd start on that, we'd have a meeting with everybody, get everybody together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to new business, our first order, wait a minute. Margaret has pointed out to me that I skipped item number 6, items from the floor. Is there anything items from the floor this evening? Come on, John, get up there. Sorry. I didn't mean to try to just skip you.
No, that was a great presentation. I don't know how I'm going to follow it. So, as most of you know, Deer Creek Days is funded by Sewing Buttons. So, thanks to the research that Chris did, there she is. We've come up with a lot of the logos.
Yeah.
Some of them are just generic, but a lot of them actually have the logo of the actual Deer Creek Days. We'd like to present this to you guys and all the support that you have given us. This is, how many we make of these? Like 5 or 6 of them, so not very many. But this is for you guys.
Well, thank you.
And thanks to John and the crew for everything they do for us. And I'm sorry, but they're probably going to ask you to hang this.
Well,
Ask you to
we need to remove some art that's been in here.
Where to put it?
I think it'll be
Best place
great
to
to
put it.
hang that up here.
Yeah, that's
in the
awesome.
room.
But
Thank you
guys
very
have
much.
always supported us. We appreciate it.
I made a few.
You probably, yeah, Lyle probably made a few of them, but this is for you guys, and
Yeah.
thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, John.
So,
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Thank you very much.
Just set it back there, I think, and
is
we'll,
that back there? Okay.
yeah.
No, thanks, John. Any other items before we move on with new business? If not, we will, first item of order is a tree grant application for Sue Dills. Complete removal of a failing tree on 126 North 4th Street. Remove dead and branches hanging over a trailer at 130 North 4th. Her low bid, I believe, was $2,550. She got several bids, but I think her low bid was the $225.50. So, we pay up to a grand on those, or half or a grand, which is higher. But is there a motion on a tree grant application for Sue Dills?
I move that we approve the tree grant for Sue Deals for $1,000.
Up to that.
Up to 2,000.
2,000. It's $25.50 is her deal, so it's half of it, so it goes over 1,000, but that's fine. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. Motion carries. There's a lot of pictures of that one. Next order of business is actually one for Arnold Dills, who lives at 238 Fort Laramie. Prune overhanging branches away from sidewalks, driveway, and over house. His low bid estimate was $2,100. He got several estimates, but his lowest $2,100. So is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve Mr. Dill's tree grant application for up to $1,000.
Okay, is there a motion? There's a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on this one?
Looks like it needs to be done.
Yeah, it definitely needs done. So, if there's no further discussion, I will call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. Motion carries. Our next one is for Bonnie Gilbertson, lives at 834 Lookout Drive, Glen Rock. Another one, looks like her low bid is $1,650.
I move we approve this tree grant up to $1,000.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on Bonnie Gilbertson's? If not, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay, motion carries. Our next one is for Lonnie Sorensen.
No.
Now, come on, I didn't get to read it. 755 Grant Street, remove old cottonwood tree. Tree is pushing up driveway in spots. It's all pushing up the sidewalks. It's in pretty bad shape, so his low bid was 2,900. So is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve up to $1,000 toward this.
This tree grant, okay?
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. Motion carries. It's really working on your driveway bad,
Yeah.
looking at the pictures.
Yeah, it's messed up.
Yeah.
Floor in the house, too.
Okay, our next order of business is a boards and commission application form for Gina Cron. We're going to put her on which?
Tourism.
Tourism. I had to read this, kind of, man, okay. Currently active member of Converse County Tourism Board Promotion Board. So this would be to
Put her on it.
put her on the board. So is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, we appoint Jenna Cron to the Converse County Tourism and Promotion Board.
Motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion before we pass her sentence? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. Motion carries. Our next order of business is for Amberly Weaver, Rosie's Cantina and Mexican Grill at 416 West Bird Street. This is for the Friday nights, so there's access from their business to
Town Square.
to Town Square.
This is for their
Open container.
Yeah,
Okay.
yep. Since they were out, this one we talked about in there and thought it would be nice that we could do something so they're not in violation of people coming out there with
Yeah.
alcohol into to
As long
Town
as they're
Square.
headed toward.
Yeah, as long as they go the right direction.
According to the square on the thing, they have.
Yeah, I printed that off of Greenwood Maps, and I just kind of marked, because I'm assuming that's all we're doing is
Yes.
just
Right,
get
that's
them
what we
over there for
discussed
the
Yes.
discussion.
meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion then
Okay.
to approve the open container permit for Rosie's Cantina.
Okay, there is a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded, and this is for all the Friday night events at Town Square for the summer concert series.
Is
Any
this
other?
just for our year, Mayor, or is this for?
Just for the
For the
concerts,
remainder.
just for the rest of this year, and then they'll apply for a new one next year.
Okay.
So, is there any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. Motion carries.
I just want to clarify too, she had initially written Friday, but I took that off because
Yeah.
I think there's one or
Couple of
two
Do that on
that are
Saturday.
going to be on Saturday, and so
Okay.
Okay. For some reason, mine does not want to move on. So, our next order of business is, I believe, is bills and claims. Is there a motion?
I move we pay our bills and claims as presented.
No, it's not on there because it's separate. Came from Kelly, it's separate, so. There's a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
And a second, any discussion on bills and claims?
Hopefully it's not this much again next month.
Yeah, it's one of those, well, it was a bunch of stuff that was, what, year end for last year, and then it,
Also a 3-week period versus normal.
Yeah.
yeah,
Like, wow.
it's just money, we can make more tomorrow.
You sound like one of my ex-wives.
So,
it's fun signing all those too. Takes a while.
okay, any other discussion?
No.
Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. Motion carries. I guess before we move on, we need a motion to move into executive session.
Before we do that, I just wanted to mention I won't be able to make it to the work session on the 20th,
Yeah, I think I'm going to be gone too.
so
We're going to be at
the Elevate
God, I mean, what
Meet and
people to
greet.
talk about.
meeting.
Well, I tried to get him to move it, and it's for 2 hours. I thought we could take care of stuff here, then go down.
Well, but I told him I'd be there, so I won't be at the work session.
Well, Russ, I guess that's you and I.
Okay.
Unless you guys want to move it to a different date or something, but I just wanted to make sure.
I think an hour of our time here to take care of things is more important than being there for over 2 hours down there. But that's my personal opinion. I'm running for re-election also, Judy.
Well, and I think it's important that we're able to communicate with the people who are going to be there. And it was a tough call, but we could do this another day here, too.
Okay,
I'll make a motion, we move into executive session.
is there a second?
Yes, I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by nay. Motion carries. We'll move into executive session.